Hi everyone, it's Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield here from Transport Evolved. Happy Monday. It's been a crazy week. I'm sorry I've not had a whole lot of content for you in the last 7 days. As those of you who watched the Chevrolet Bolt EV review will know, Monday and Tuesday last week I was in California test driving the Chevrolet Bolt EV. Then on Wednesday I was dressing up as a big giant fluffy fox and entertaining sick kids in a kids hospital. We'll come to that in a second. And today I was going to talk to you about the Leaf Spy Pro software that you can run to monitor your Nissan Leaf and make sure that it's charging properly, and use it to make sure that you can be super efficient and you can drive a long way on as little power as absolutely possible. But something else has come up and I need to talk to you about it. You see, as those who watched Friday's TEN will know, things in the US have been kind of crazy for the last couple of weeks, especially since the administration of Donald Trump came into power, and there have been some significant changes in the way that the US is trying to be run right now. And as part of that, there's been some kickback in the US against Trump's policies. Some people say they're pretty crazy. He wants to get rid of the EPA, he wants to ban Muslims from entering the US or people from certain countries, and it's all been a bit of a cluster you-know-what. And I've not been talking about politics on the Transport Evolved channel much, not as much as I want, because, well, it's upset people. After all, you come to Transport Evolved for news on cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transportation, not politics. But here's the thing, you see, politics affects us all. It affects the world we live in, and while in an ideal world, yes, you wouldn't necessarily have to deal with politics, politics does have an effect on people. And in a crazy way, politics even affects if I can drink kombucha or not. Cheers. I might be a blogger, or a journalist, depending on who you ask. And I suppose in some ways I'm all of the above. But I'm also a human being. And I'm a minority in many different ways. And so the policies that are going on in the US right now do affect me. And so maybe I should talk about them. Which brings me to today's topic, namely why I'm turning off comments on Transport Evolved's website, at least temporarily, but why I'm still going to continue producing content, because content is needed. Last week, a colleague in the automotive world told me that I was trying to do something that's pretty tough in today's modern world. I'm trying to produce reviews that are as impartial and fair as absolutely possible when we live in a soundbite world where everybody wants to read and watch things that essentially massage their own ego, tell them what they already believe is correct. So instead of going and watching videos telling you the good and bad points on something, people just want to watch 5 reasons why the Chevrolet Bolt is the best car ever, or 5 reasons why the Chevrolet Bolt is the worst car ever. And if I was to produce those 2 videos, the chances are that I would probably end up with more views than the standard 20-minute review that I put in last week. And that's sad. Super sad. Additionally, I've watched people debate climate change and political motivation in the Transport Evolved YouTube channel, and also on our Facebook page, and even in our Twitter stream. And since the election of Donald J. Trump to the White House, there's been an awful lot more negative, nasty, trollish behaviour. And that's meant that I'm just going to have to turn off comments, at least for now. Because I'm one of the few who will cover politics. Who will cover politics and how it pertains to electric vehicles. Who will stand up and be counted. And if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, the chances are you probably know that I'm more than just the person who vlogs and blogs about electric cars. Yes, this is my career and I've chosen to make it that, but I'm more than just Nikki the EV person. I'm a member of the GLBT community. I'm somebody who could directly be affected by proposed executive orders that are coming in that could give people the right not to serve me because I'm transgender or because I'm gay. Yes, if you didn't know, those two things are true about me. And frankly, I've got to a point now where I think those are things I need to wear on my sleeve, because it kind of makes a point. If you don't know those things about me, then you might not understand why I'm so het up, so worried, so scared right now with everything going on in the world, because I normally talk about electric cars and I normally don't talk about politics. But there are other things too. I'm an immigrant. I'm the daughter of an immigrant. My mother was an immigrant to the UK and I'm an immigrant to the US. I'm the only person in my family who's not technically an American citizen right now. My immediate family, my kids and my wife, are American citizens. I'm not. I'm just a green card holder. Can I even leave the country safely? I have friends who are green card holders and I worry about them leaving the US and coming back in because their skin colour is not white. I mean, that's just screwed up. And don't even get me started on this racial profiling, not really a religion thing going on right now, because it clearly is banning people based on religion, and frankly, we have to say what it is. It's wrong. It's racist. It needs to stop. And I'm saying that as an atheist. But it still needs to stop, because there's no documentary proof to prove any of the things that have been pushed into place this week are going to do anything other than just piss off people who seek to do harm to the Western world. So let's talk about why I got into electric cars in the first place, because I think this also makes you understand why I am motivated in the way I am. So the first time I saw an electric car was I was about 4 or 5, and I saw a picture of an Enfield electric in a magazine, and I thought, hey, that's cool. Because I like things that plugged in and ran on electricity. I thought they were the best thing ever. I had a train set that ran on electricity, and a car that ran on electricity just seemed to be the next logical step. But then, around the age of 10 or 11, the marshland where I lived, the marshland where the cows that my father was paid to look after used to graze, flooded. It ended up under 9 or 10 feet of salt water. It killed all of the grazing land, and my dad lost his job because the farmer couldn't afford to buy food to keep the cows through the winter, and so he had to sell the farm, he had to sell the cows, and so my dad lost a job as a consequence, and we had to move. And for me, that was kind of the end of my childhood. Full stop. Period. End of. And from that point onwards, I realised that there was something going wrong, and there was something that we were doing wrong, and we needed to figure out a way forward. Now, I've always been one of these people that thinks if you give people the information that they need and you give it to them in a fairly unbiased way, they will inevitably choose the sensible option, because everybody wants things to be better for themselves and those they love. They're not going to choose an option that harms people or harms people they care about. They'll choose the one that makes sense. Which is why I got into journalism and why I got into EV advocacy and why Transport Evolves exists today. But unlike so many other EV news sites out there who are so fanboyish and so over the top that it's obviously an EV site, I decided to make Transport Evolve different. I wanted to give people the information that they needed to make their mind up in their own way. Which is why I don't do the 5 ways that the Chevrolet Bolt is a great car and the 5 ways that the Chevrolet Bolt is not a great car. Because I'm not interested in that. I just want to give you information and you can make your own bloody mind up. So what does this have to do with Donald J. Trump and the current political situation in the United States? And why am I so nervous and worried right now? Well, Donald J. Trump and his administration are trying to do away with everything that we've relied on thus far to come up with sensible solutions. He's creating an impression that the press can't be trusted, that nobody who is not connected to his government cannot be trusted. He's trying to use alternative facts, which we all know are lies, straight up and simple. He's also trying to do this whole kind of bravado promise that the world is going to be a better place because I'm in charge and everything's going to be okay. which frankly is a very immature and childish way of looking at the world. And we need to have sensible discussion, and we need to have sensible scientific consensus to make sure that this bullshit doesn't carry on. Yeah, I just swore twice in my own blog on Transport Evolved. I'm sorry, but this needs to be said. And I know that I've probably lost about 200 subscribers by the end of this video because I've even dared to talk about anything other than EVs. But it needs to be said. If you care about Transport Evolved, if you care about what I do, then I also need you to understand that there are other things in the world that are important to me that I will defend, that I will care for, that I will try and uphold. Freedom of the press, right to free speech, the ability to scientifically decide what's really going on and go with science, fact, rather than religious belief. Because while religious belief can be a source of great inspiration and succor for those who believe in whatever they believe in, it won't make the world okay. It won't suddenly make global warming vanish. It won't suddenly deal with drought or famine or any of these other things. Those things are up to us as humans to solve, which is why we need to solve them and why, again, we all need to be driving more EVs. As for the other stuff, as for my identity, I'm scared. I am genuinely scared right now as a member of the GLBT community, and I tick 2 of those boxes, that I'm somebody who is going to be persecuted. This is, to me, like the 1930s was in Europe. This is where it's going, and this is why we need to stop. And yeah, there are other things that I do too that people might find stupid. Yeah, I dress up as a giant red fox sometimes. Yeah, I do mascotting, or some people call it furrying. But I do it because I enjoy it, because it's a way to deal with the world. And I go into kids' hospitals and I make their lives better. Some people would say that that's horrible and dangerous and sinful or whatever else. But I don't. That's who I am. That's why I'm making this blog. That's why I'm turning off comments. Because, well, everybody has a right to a voice. Arguing with one another in a comment stream about who's right is not going to make the world a better place. Action will. So, that's why you're not getting a review about Leaf Spy Pro today. And that's why I'm doing this instead. Bye.